Hello everyone, I'm Robert Icy. Most of you will know me, but for you that don't, I'm the UK's #1 unconscious mind therapist. And welcome to the Mindclap podcast. Hello everyone, I'm Robert Icy, the UK's #1 unconscious mind therapist. And I'm here with the wonderful Miss Leanne Brown, known from Cheshire Housewives and her freedom fighting abilities. She's massively into the mind and the body, so bear with us. How are you? Thanks for coming.
Thanks
and
for having me.
coming on to the Mindclap podcast. I appreciate it. So I'll give you a little.
Yeah, cheers.
There we go.
Why not?
So, so let's tell us a bit about yourself. I mean, you know you're big into the mind now. We know you've come from the TV, but what was the younger Leanne like? What was it like for you as a child, like growing up?
So I grew up in Cumbria.
Okay.
Did you not know that?
Ah.
Because we did a little bit of
Session
thing. You did,
before,
yeah.
Around your house in Cheshire, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was when I was going through a bit of a hard time.
So,
wasn't it? Yeah. And you give me the stone.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. I still got it somewhere. But yeah, little Leanne, I was going to say, grew up in Cumbria, country girl.
Oh, was you a country
And
girl?
I am a country girl at heart, and I'm actually realising that more now, that the more I've grown and the more obviously back to your roots and like nature and all the rest of it, and that's I've kind of gone through that, evolved, if you will, like being in like the Cheshire and being in that like real bubble of like quite pretentious world,
Yeah.
isn't it? And that competing and having the next best thing. But back in the day, I was, my mum and dad split when I was 13. So he always worked away, and my dad has spoke about this a lot of the time. My dad was abusive to my mum on a couple of occasions that I witnessed.
Oh, wow.
So, but the majority of my childhood, when I was younger, was fairly happy. You know, like
Do you like give her a right hand sort of thing?
yeah, it was just two occasions when I remember.
I know this ain't right, but back in the day, some parts of the country, it was still normal. I remember coming up north when I was young, and some of the working man's club, women had to stand on one side and had a man's side still, you know, like back in the 90s that
Yeah.
was. So, you know, it is that some parts of the country do have that generation before, that prehistoric mindset of giving, you know, don't answer back, get in the kitchen. It was,
Yeah.
so imagine 100 years ago, it must have been terrible, mustn't
Oh
it?
yeah,
For
definitely.
women.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my
So
nana
how
was a really strong, quite a strong woman. I can't imagine my granddad giving my nana a slap. I've lost
Might have
both
been the
of
other way
them.
around.
Yeah. But my mum really was.
Did that affect you? Sorry, to interrupt with that.
Yeah, so my mum ended up having 3 jobs. So she worked, and she obviously when he left, he went to the Philippines to live, and he married a Filipino woman. And you know, when you're a kid, you just like don't realise things that affect you, do you not? And you kind of go through the motions, and you don't really, you just don't analyse anything, do you? But I remember like him writing to me, and it just stopped. It just stopped when I was around 13. Sorry, not 13. He left when I was 13. I was around. He met a woman there, and he was writing. And I remember him writing these letters, and they were going like, the writing was going all like crazy, you know, like he couldn't write properly. And apparently this girl had left him and stole a lot of his money, and then she was into black magic, and this is what he was writing to me. I must have been about 14 or something, 14, 15, and when he stopped writing to me, I just couldn't understand why. Like as a parent, you know, when I think back now, I couldn't understand why he didn't do that, and I just wanted him to come back. So, but yeah, my mum was a real fighter, and I think I've got a lot of my empowerment from my mum, definitely, from thinking about now how things have evolved. And it's took me a long time to get here.
Yeah.
I did end up going, as I got older, I met a guy and ended up being in an abusive relationship myself.
It's weird how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always the way.
Yeah, and I think it's almost like I witnessed it and I kind of accepted it more so because I'd seen it firsthand. Potentially, that's. I mean, I know people get involved in abusive relationships that haven't seen it, but I feel like I may have accepted it at first because I'd seen it, and when I used to like have the rows with him, I used to ring my mum up, and she used to set off from Barrow, because I moved down south with him, so I wasn't anywhere near home either. And I used to call my mum and say, set off, pick me up, like he's hit me, and I was crying and everything. When I think now what I put my mum through, you know.
The stress of,
Yeah.
And the worry that what she's been through as well, she must have been mortified for her daughter to be...
And so helpless. And
how long did that go on for, Lee?
Well, only 18 months, so actually not as bad as what it could have been, because since you know, doing all the work I've done with the women and stuff, and speaking to women that have been in abusive relationships for years and years and years, and not able to come away from it. So I got a lot of strength from that, from leaving. Something just clicked in me, and I don't even know how or why. I just remember we'd had one of our rows, and then he'd started like kicking off, and I just had this like inner strength, and it must have just been the love or the obsession of, or whatever it was, I must have loved him to have stayed there, you know, for and accept what he'd done, but slowly I just think he chipped away at that love, and then I just created strength within me, and the minute that I stood up to him and was like, I'm leaving, and he knew I meant it, he literally just dropped to the floor and cried like a baby. You know, like a kid you see in a supermarket, like having a tantrum. And it was just like that moment of like, wow, you're the one that needs me, not the other way around.
You're the weak one.
Yeah.
You're all about control.
Yeah.
That's mad, because have you seen that film, What's Love Got to Do with Tina Turner?
I have, yeah, I think I've seen.
It's a really good film.
Yeah.
And she's got beat for years, didn't she? Fucking half raped her and things. It was trauma. You know, brought her kids up. Women went on door giving her babies that weren't hers, and she brought them up. And
no, I haven't seen it. I've seen the trailer.
It's really good, but I do literalism as well, and there's a part in it. They don't really focus too much on it, but you notice in the film when a friend teaches her literalism, Nam Yo Ho Renge Kyo, and she starts chanting, that she sort of gains this strength, and it's just reminded me then, because when she does make herself mentally stronger. The first time she fought back in the back of the car, she claws his eyes and blacks his eyes, he busted her nose, and that was the night she left, and then she just never, you know, it's a really good film. I won't tell you all of it, but it is a remarkable film, it just reminded me of that then. Well, so when you get the strength, they just crumble.
Yeah, it was like that. It's funny.
And what happened then? I bet you just lost complete respect then, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I walked out and I didn't come back, and that was it. I went back home to my mum. By then because I was living way down south, and then we moved back to like up north, but like Wigan area. So my mum would just obviously, because she'd stop at the motorway, ring me, because no mobiles back then, and I'd say, turn around, it's all right, he's apologised. So that went on, like, obviously I kept ringing my mum, and she's like, right, I'm not picking you up, you're going to have to make your own way. If you're going to come home, I know that it's like for good, and you mean it. But funny you should say about that, the Buddhism thing, and it, like, thinking back, I just remember sitting in the car, because he didn't want me to work, he didn't want me to have friends, he just like, it was abusive. It was all that. But I remember it was music actually that gave me that, I think, that inner strength, you know, like when you listen to songs and
change your emotions.
Yeah. And I remember listening to like Roxette and M People, and it's like back in the day, but the words obviously meant something to me, and I just remember we had this like red XR2i with a big spoiler on the back. I mean, I was driving now, I've got to pass my test, you know, like, but yeah, that's what music, words, vibration, they all carry such a powerful thing, don't they?
Just shift your emotion.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of people don't understand is you can only think how you feel. Everyone talks about psychology and, you know, let's go over the trauma. It's the fucking worst thing you can do. Yeah. Because the human mind can only think how you feel. There's never been a human being in 2 million years while experiencing the emotion of sadness can make a happy thought.
Yeah.
And if you feel anxious, your brain checks in with the body and goes, yeah, that corresponds to thoughts right now. You start making, I'm going to die cancer, my girlfriend's cheating, or whatever the fuck it is. So it is true, to get strength, you've got to change your emotion. And sometimes people think you've got to figure it out. As you just said then, you change your emotion just by listening to music. There's other ways of manipulating the body. I mean, you studied with Anthony Robbins, I think I see you, didn't I?
Yeah.
And he gets a lot of these people, doesn't he, to, when he works with a lot of these billionaires and that, he gets them to jump up in the morning, jump their hands up and down, throw their hands in the air, to change that emotional, experience in their body. So their state changes. And people call it a state of mind, but it ain't. It's a state of body, isn't it? It's the body that feels different. Yeah. And that's when you go, if you feel confident, your brain checks in and goes, come on, we can do this. And I think that's
movement, isn't it?
Movement, yeah.
Everything's connected. Movement, like music, like sound, vibration, and I just put a post up actually
Everything's
about
energy, isn't it? And even
this,
the years I've been doing this, I'm still getting it mad that everything's energy. Like, still other angles, I noticed that everything's energy. It's just all the same. You know?
yeah,
I think that's the hardest thing to understand, to be able to keep lifting your vibration. I mean,
yeah.
you're always on high vibration, you always want to see you, you're buzzing and jumping about.
Well, not all the time, but I try.
You try to work it,
yeah.
but it is something you've got to work at, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, I get up every morning, do my breath work, I do my visualizations, my meditation, and I say to people, if you don't do it, if you have a bad day, you're going to have a bad day. But if you wake up in the morning, you don't feel too good, you meditate, you do your breath work, you do your visualizations, and it lifts you up.
Yeah.
Nice bit of music on, it lifts you up. So if you're having a bad day, you'll have a bit of a better day. But if you're having a good day, then you'll have a fucking great day.
Yeah.
So it's just keep working within yourself.
yeah, definitely. I'm just doing a little bit of a course at the minute. A guy called Chris, I think it's Chris Duncan. And it's like magnetic mind. I mean, you know all this, and it was just how he's broke it down. I mean, it's just constant learning, isn't it, of the brain and how it works, and like the unconscious and the unconscious, the self-conscious and the superconscious, and he's obviously trying to like get down to the superconscious and unlock it and stay in that like that awareness all the time. And he was explaining how like when you're a baby, we're all born super conscious. There's no limitations to what we can do or what can we have. And
beliefs, no.
even like to how our brain works, because we only use such a small part of it, isn't it? And it's only when you are born and then the other people that come into contact that say, no, don't do that, don't do this, stop that, and they prevent you from. It's almost like we create them limitations. But how he was saying, if I hold a pen and then I drop it, I have to know. It's all about your perception of your brain, do you know what I mean? You see I'll tell you what he was talking about, sorry. He was talking about the slit experiment.
Double slit experiment with quantum physics,
yes.
And when it gets watched, they react mad, innit?
So when he's watching it, there's two slits. The light is going through the slits,
yes.
and there's two slits on the thing. But when nobody's watching it, it goes in a wave.
Yeah.
So that just shows how much it's our observation of our perception that creates our reality.
1,000,000%.
Yeah, and it just blew my mind and just think.
Everyone at home listening to this, Google it, the double slit experiment. You put quantum physics after, but you put that in, you'll see it. Definitely worth a watch. It's actually quantum physics, it's a bit mind blowing. You don't really fucking understand it still, but it's weird, isn't it? You still watch it and think, oh, that's mad, but then what do you do with that information still? It's crazy, but.
Yeah. Well, it's just sort of to know that everything that our observation and perception is only because that we see it in that way, but actually it's unlimited.
Yeah.
And it's just obviously realising that we can access anything. It's just because we're told that that's a glass and that's Prosecco in it, but actually, do you know what I mean? Everything is vibrating, everything is just atoms, and when you break us all down, and that's why we can actually create.
And this is why it goes back to what you're saying about, frequencies, is that, if you zoom into your skin, I say a dead body move, but how's a fucking dead body move? I go, you get that microscope under your skin. Once you get down past the molecules, the atoms, protons and neutrons, you get tiny little pieces of particles of matter.
Yeah.
It's just vibrational energy.
Yeah.
And if your skin's vibrating, I'll just give it a number, 37 hertz. And I don't know, that glass table, the glass, when we get underneath there, we see that the particles energy at the smallest piece of matter is vibrating at 126.
Yeah.
If you try putting them two particles of energy together, they're not going to connect. They're actually going to ping one off even further away. So it shows at source level that when you get 37 hertz and 37 hertz, they're on the same vibrate. They actually magnify together and become one, and that all builds into the protons and neutrons and the atoms and the molecules into the compound and blah 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 blah. So at source level of every single thing we can see at the universe, it has to get made on the same vibration. Now, your feelings, your emotions, should I say, is energy in motion, emotion.
Yeah.
So when you're feeling something, that's what you're transmitting.
Yeah.
So you can only attract what you feel.
Yeah.
Literally, and people talk about this in law of attraction stuff, but they don't get the real science behind it. When you take it down to everything on this planet and out of the planet that we see is on the same vibration for it to connect to be able to manifest itself into an object or a thing.
Yeah.
And other things that freaked me out when I first learned this, but it was also very eye-opening, is that our body regenerates itself every 3 years. I mean, fully regenerates. So our bones regenerate every 3 years. Our internal organs regenerate up to 2 years.
Wow.
Our skin head to toe every 3 months.
Stop.
Seriously, how sick is that? So when you're looking at your skin now, 3 months later, you're in the same skin. and we don't even see it peel. Yeah, but if you cut yourself in 6 weeks, it's healed, it's done.
Yeah, of course.
You break your leg, it goes back to normal. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's the proof's there,
Yeah.
and looking into quantum physics, it's new particles of energy. So our growth hormone, like we get older, I don't regenerate the same way because our growth hormone changes and we change energies, you can change shape, but we actually have every 3 years we have a whole new body. So, and I always use this. If I've got a victim that's been quite sexually abused and something, I always tell them this because I think you're not even in the same fucking body you was in 12 years ago. You're only in the same body you was in 3 years ago. So we ain't touching that.
Yeah.
It's just the scar and the fault sort of thing. So it's just a mad way to look at things. When my dad died, it sort of helped me because I thought, that body that's just laying there, that wasn't my dad 3 years ago anyway. So it ain't him that I miss. That's just the representation of his soul. And we're spiritual beings, and that proves that we're spiritual beings.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck that means or what consciousness really is. I don't think we can identify it, but that's 1,000,000% what we are.
Yeah.
So this proves that we're bigger than the body. We're not just a meat suit walking around having an experience.
Physical.
We can come out of ourselves and we can create. And it's all this information that gives you the power to actually want to take it on. Because I think people want to be able to believe this stuff. They want to, but without the evidence and the proof, people get scared. They feel stupid. All the insecurities that you said, which we learn, that you sound that we make our own perception of things. We're embarrassed, and then people just limitate their thoughts.
By putting limitations on us, isn't it? Because law of attraction is about people just think, oh, I want to ask for something, but it's about, and then obviously just focusing on that lack of not it being in the present, but it's about getting that emotion of how it's going to make you feel, because everything is about how it makes you feel, isn't it?
Energy, emotion.
We're so conditioned to think that happiness is something that's external, and that we have to have a certain thing to make us happy, and that's something that's been a big lesson for me, especially living in that Cheshire lifestyle, the WAG and all the rest of it.
How was that for you coming from? I'm sorry, we're jumping forward a bit here, but how is that from being from a little country girl until all of a sudden? Did you notice? Was it at first? As you went into that life. Was it sort of at first you got caught up in that sort of, did you ever get caught up in that vibration that you didn't, that now, you know what I'm trying to say? Did you get caught up in the vibration of being one of the wags and sort of and you got caught up in the moment a little bit, and then was there a point you had to go, hang on, I'm Leanne Brown, I'm more...
I know always was the same, has the same personality. Yeah.
To be fair, everyone I know that knew you before I even met you, 3, 4 years, 5 years ago, probably it was 4 years, I don't know. Everyone speaks very highly of you, and they always said she's a lovely woman, and
thank you.
Yeah, they always did. So
it's good to know.
Yeah.
But definitely got caught up in it. I mean, how can you not? Like you said, coming from Cumbria, then obviously I met Wes, and just remember actually going to when I first met him on his first day, went to Flannells, design shop in Manchester, and he was buying suits for the game, because back then the players had to wear suits when they went in the players' lounge after the game, before and after. But obviously then they just wore tracksuits afterwards, didn't they? But he didn't have any suits, so I remember walking in Flannells. Never been in a designer shop in my life. I was living in Manchester, but I was shopping under Affleck's palettes and that, but it was actually really, really daunting, and it was quite pretentious. I felt like I was being looked down on. That was my own insecurity.
I'm off the council estate, so
I
I remember going into the designer shops with my mates and feeling
what are you doing?
The only people that work there, aren't they? Really look back, but you feel insecure in them, and they're just working there, and you think,
exactly. And then obviously being in the lounge and being with the players, and then back then it was Beckham's and all that lot, and so it was.
Must have been a good buzz though.
Yeah, it was. I was never really into football, to be honest. Everyone says he's playing. I'm I don't know. But obviously I supported Wes, and I went, and it was a great buzz at the game, and it was a great experience to go to the places that we went to and everything. But the whole WAG thing, I mean, I just I hate that word anyways, but I'm still getting called it, and especially now, anyone that wants to throw a bit of hate or troll me, and I get that, and but it's fine, do you know what I mean? But I was a regular at Harvey Nichols, and I'd had personal shopper that used to get me bits and bobs and put them to one side, and I used to go in every now and again, every season, all the new season stuff in, and buy it. And now, especially obviously, I mean, now the last year, people really realise how little you actually need, and what's really important in life with all the lockdowns and everything, isn't it? But when I left the show is when I was really wow, it's just all so superficial, like going to Africa with the charity.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to explain a bit about that? Because that is absolutely amazing what you're doing there. Do you want to explain a bit about your charity?
Yeah.
You've got? That is phenomenal.
So we're working, helping raising awareness for, obviously they've done a few events for it as well, for one woman at a time. I have to say it slowly because I always get tongue-tied and say it. One woman at a time. It's helping women subject and at risk of female genital mutilation, forced marriage and gender-based violence.
Crazy.
Leaving the show.
I think that even goes on, is just...
Oh yeah, definitely. So when I left the show, it was like, I felt so downtrodden and obviously I'd learned a lot about myself. I would never say I regret being in that show because it was a massive growth for me in life and realising that
and strength, I suppose. You go through a lot
another thing of walking away from something, and it would have been quite easy to stay in it, and the fame thing and like getting the wage and all the rest of it, but I just decided it wasn't worth it, and I felt like it's like kind of sold to you that it's all about women empowering each other and that, it's the total opposite.
It's about women empowering each other.
So wanting to get involved in something that
did it affect you mentally, do you think? Did you, like when you come out of it, was it a bit like, oh, you've got to find yourself a little bit again, or was it anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I said this on another chat I did the other day about what was the moment when you just thought, I'm not doing this anymore. And it was on the last series when we were in Gibraltar, and we were on the
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And I just remember we were filming, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we'd like been drinking for like 2 days, and like we were all sat around the table, and then we just kept rolling the film because they just wanted to get something spicy for the end of Ep, do you know what I mean? And I was thinking, what am I doing here? Why am I sitting on this boat? And I just had visions of getting up and walking and just going and jumping off the end of the boat, and that's when I knew.
Did you?
No, I didn't do it.
No, you had the vision. No, you never done it. No, but you actually thought that? You thought I've had enough?
I just was like...
Mad the things that pop into the brain.
and then there was at one point when it was stood behind me, and I had another vision of like just getting up and walking there. And I just thought this has to stop.
Yeah. It's not good for you, is it?
No.
Talk about vibrations and feelings.
Yeah. So I when I did the reunion, it was like my kids were seeing me upset, like looking at the edit and stuff, and then like just.
Something like these trolls don't understand what the kids. It ain't just you suffer. Anything that's bad that you do, the kids everywhere. Your family suffers, doesn't it?
Yeah. I wanted to just get involved in something that was doing good and just empowering women as opposed to dragging each other down. And
as I said, you just said about the charity in Africa you do. That's phenomenal. I know you do some big events over here, didn't you? You've had a lot of... Yeah,
so I've done a few different events raising money.
And massive events.
Yeah, big balls and some of the smaller ones, but obviously not organised much. We went to China actually. We did 2019 when we did the China walk.
I watched you do it on your Insta. It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was great. That must have been a really good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously not many people go to China now.
yeah, it's the last place where probably safer than here actually, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah. And I did it with my daughter as well, so it was great to be able to take Hallie. Yeah, and it was brilliant. Like one of the 7 wonders of the world, is it? The Great Wall of China.
You do a lot, don't you? I mean, I remember seeing Anthony Robbins. I still want to go study with him. I study with loads of people, but I like just go and see the vibe. You know what I mean? Is it good vibe?
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, really good.
Was it in Manchester or did you do it?
No, I went in London.
Excel.
But that was like. A few years ago now.
So now time goes, doesn't it? It feels like yesterday I was watching you doing that.
Yeah, doing the show. I went with Tanya and did the walk on fire and all that.
Yeah, you done it, did you?
Yeah.
And they burn your feet?
Not at all.
Serious?
Yeah, it's great.
I was out in Miami a couple of years, not last year, year before, my boy, and we walked past the Dolphins Stadium and they done the firewalk, but there was like 4 people who had like 3rd-degree burns on their feet. But I don't think that's bad. Like, I don't think law of averages. That ain't a bad number, is it? You think about the size of the stadium.
It's not in the right state, that's why. It's all about, because the whole day it's like priming you to do the walk. And if you, you've got to chant this like cool moss. So each time he's like getting you to change your state, like every so often, you're like, right, everybody go, like clapping and everything and changing your state and getting a high vibe. And he just talks about, so he's raising your vibration all throughout the day, because I thought it was going to be like the 3rd day we were walking on the fire, but it was like the first day, So, and he just tells you, like, you've got to literally shout, just think, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss, in your head.
Oh, cool moss.
Like you're walking on
Oh,
cool
gotcha.
moss. And you've got to walk at a normal pace, just one foot in front of the other. Don't look down, just walk from one into the other, and then you get your feet sprayed at the end. And it's just you're just in that state of mind. And I think the people that are burning the feet are actually probably thinking, either they're looking down, and it's about your brain connecting to your body, isn't it? And pain. It's like, so hypnobirthing.
Yes.
So I did that with Lola, my third child,
Oh, did
and
you?
that was a big sort of shift as well. She's 10 now, but that was a big shift in my really realising about my mind and my mind to body connection and the power that we've got.
I'm glad you said that, because people look at the body and the mind. Because of modern science, they look at it as you've got a mind, and they've got doctors that deal with the mind, then you've got people that deal with the body. But you can't have a mind without a body, you can't have a body without a fucking mind. Like, it's part of the same thing. And this is what I find horrible about modern science, is that no one works together.
Yeah.
They don't do the linking, there's no team in the middle linking it half the time, you know?
Yeah.
So yes, that must have been amazing.
So the hypnobirthing, so obviously they work on the theory that when you, well, even like the language again, so obviously when people say are you in pain, or the word contraction, you automatically think, I'm in pain, so then you will feel it more, because
you're energy flows with the attention, you're putting your focus there.
So they change the terminology of things. They say surge instead of contraction. Contraction even sounds like a harsh word, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Yeah.
And if you think of when you're in pain, when you think pain causes tension, and what's the word? So tension causes pain. So obviously, if you're just just focusing on being relaxed and just breathing, it's all about just breathing through the whole thing, and just really focusing on the mind and the body, and visualizing your muscles as like ribbons floating, as opposed to them being taut. It's all like really different.
And the flower and the belly and the J breathing. Did you do that?
Yeah. So it was really like
I studied everything. I managed to do it. I helped my mate's wife. Willie was there, but I couldn't do it. It's just not a man's thing to sort of. It's just found awkward. I'll get it, So, but a lot of people that I train, I'm getting them to go into that side a bit more, because it is an amazing thing. You look at the studies. It's because when you think prehistorically, when we were like, you'd have been a cavewoman, there weren't no fucking doctors to give you painkillers. There weren't. And if you look at a dog or a horse or a cow, none of them sit there going, screaming, burst. Like what do they go into trance? They breathe. They don't. I remember seeing my dog as a kid having pups, and you could lift its arm up. It's just gone. It's just pure limb, and it just relaxes itself. And we've lost that ability, because what you're talking about at the beginning is about the conscious mind. We start understanding about pain. We can start transfer our energy. And sometimes it's done us the world of good, but also it can be our worst enemy as well.
I was just going to say, it was fear causes tension causes pain.
Fear causes tension. Tension causes pain.
Because you tense up, don't you?
Yeah, it's true.
And that's the whole ethos of like hypnobirthing. So when you use different terminology
Someone will be like asking, how long was you in labour for? Because a lot of them are just popping out in an hour or two. And they're like, I see people walking up down eating McDonald's with a baby in their arm. You think that it's mad.
Well, the first time it was 36 hours.
Wow. And that wasn't hypnobirthing though?
No.
36, Carl.
Yeah. The second time was 12, and the third time was about 6, I think. So
the hypnobirthing was the 6?
Yeah.
So it made the difference.
So just lied on my side, I had her at home as well, so it was really relaxing. I had music on, I had candles burning, and like the hips.
6 hours, it's not a lot, is it?
And I had a birthing pool, so literally I was just lying on my side, and then got in the water right at the end. So the midwife came, literally. So Jean, the founder of the charity, was one of the women. She's an ex-midwife, so she was doing the hypnobirthing with her goddaughter. So they were already at my house anyway, so I felt safe. I didn't ring the midwife till right at the last minute, but it was just such a wonderful experience, and one that I can't shout enough about. Like, women, I just think, are so get so fearful of childbirth, and I think there's so much intervention in. And
did you have the needle? I know, is it all pain free? Did you have that?
Nothing, no.
It's amazing, isn't it, when you think about it?
But it's mind over matter, and it's this is what.
There's another guy, that Wim Hof, isn't it? I mean, that's another way. Like, I can't even pronounce the word. Autonomic nervous system, I think it is. It means the system that we can't control. So like your heart, if I went to you, put your heart rate up, you can't do it. I said, release cortisol and adrenaline. You can't just do it at will.
Yeah.
But with the techniques of Wim Hof, he can seem to raise his blood pressure, raise his his adrenaline levels to higher than someone jumping off a bungee rope. You know, it's crazy, and it just shows you by techniques. And he's another one that he's looked at it from the cave. I think his wife committed suicide when she died. Sounds terrible. And he thought, I put my body through hell. He didn't care, did he? And yeah, he jumped off a building. It's terrible. But this is another weird thing I noticed here, is that if you think about all the biggest discoveries on the body and the mind, it's always associated with death. Buddhism, 500 years before Christ, they reckon they're looking at now when Christ was 20 odd, he fucked off for so many years. When he studied Buddhism, come back to Jerusalem when he was 30. But there were a lot of studies that he took it from with Buddhism. It was 500 years before Christ, and it was all discovered from the enlightenment of life from death. He studied death, the first Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha. He never knew what death was, and when he started looking around what death was, he started looking into it. That's when he found the enlightenment of life and the meaning by meditating for, I think, 48 hours or something under trees. And now they're saying nowadays, when people are doing these breathing exercises for over an hour, they're releasing natural DMT and stuff, and they're getting into lucid trances just by breathing a lot of oxygen in. So it all sort of makes sense. And the other thing that I find crazy about Buddha is that they're proving things real now about energies that he was saying 500 years before Christ. They're proving it true now. Only now they can prove that true. And it's like, this stuff fascinates me.
Well, this is why it makes me question things like the caveman theory and all that lot, and the dinosaurs and all that. That's what I'm thinking now, like the stuff that here, and there's giants years ago, and that's all been hidden, like the skeletons of the giants and all that. It's all to do with ancient Egypt, isn't it? That's where it's obviously descended from, but that's another whole thing. That's down another rabbit hole, isn't it?
Meaning you go into a different policy on things, conspiracies, so talking about all this information that you're learning now, and you're helping so many people, and you put yourself out there. You're also into your fitness. I see you every day up there doing your workouts for people. And what is your plans now for the future? What is Leanne Brown? I know that you're into helping people and giving love, and that's the reason why I really wanted to have you on here. So what is the plans for your future? Because
well, ultimately, like I've discovered that I just genuinely do like connecting with people, and obviously I've always been into fitness and like staying as healthy as can. Obviously a bit about balance, I love my chocolate and all the rest of it, but so I've done like the meditation teaching course, and obviously launched with Lovely Anne, which is like an online little business, and started off with doing like the caption t-shirts about birthplace Earth and race human and religion love, politics freedom, because that's what I'm about, and it was very apparent from what's been going on. So then that's just increased. I've now got a hoodie, it's got love, peace, truth, karma on it, and got little bags, done some meditations on there, and then I've got my fitness plan, so that's why I do my fitness on a Monday on my Instagram. So moving forward, I want to keep expanding on that. I would like to have my own retreats moving forward, and I'm just working on another side, which is going to be more of the same, like more like based around exercise and meditation.
What retreats are you going to do?
I would like to do like more of a goddess empowerment women one, but then I think that cuts a lot of like people out. What I'd really love to do, obviously, is start off with like doing the retreats, and I'd love to eventually have like festival, and us to have everybody together, and like of all different things going on.
I've got a retreat in Spain. Come to that and do some stuff. I'd love to come out and do some stuff there. You can have a practice, do whatever you want. We've got fitness, we've got the mind stuff. It's all good. But I think that'd be good. A goddess one would be. I think women would love that. You know? Because also, I think the men would love it as well, knowing that there's no women. They're going away for a week in Spain. They get to go like beef, and the women get to go with the goddesses.
Well, you never know.
What would you do there? Would you do like a workout and
so my next thing I want to do, like I do yoga, but I would like to do teaching yoga. I've been learning a bit about the Kundalini yoga at the minute, and the chanting, So Kundalini is more about like the chanting. So it's a movement yoga, but it's there's like different types of it, because I've watched some that have been like standing up and then you kind of just really feel the energy and you jump like almost like jump around, like vibrate and shake, and then you just flow into like a dance and just let your body move freely.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, but then obviously the chanting, that the Kundalini meditation is channeling these different the different sounds and different words and that mean different things. There's one I've been saying at the minute, which is At Guru Name, Jugat Guru Name, Sat Guru Name, Siddhi Guru Deve Name, and that means it's all about channeling the inner wisdom of your ancestors and bringing it, and it's for protection. So it's good to say that whenever you're going on a journey or you feel like you need protected, and then there's another one that's about healing the world, and so I've been really getting into it. It's funny because my kids have been walking in and I'm sitting there like chanting, and I can't sing. I'm the worst singer in the world, and like I did it the other day and I had my earphones in, so I've got earphones in as well, so it's even worse because I can't hear myself. So I've got no hope, and Hallie was having a shout. She walked through the bedroom, but I was sort of doing it with one eye open because I thought somebody's going to be filming me there. So she filmed me and then showed me, and I was like horrified. Yeah, so singing's not my strong point, but yeah, I think you've got to do it when you're in an environment, when you're on your own, and you can just let it out. Who cares? Like if you've got your phones in, you can't hear yourself anyway.
I've practiced Nichiren Buddhism for quite a few years, and I've not. It was a lockdown, obviously. It's a fantastic Buddhism. Anyone at home listening, Nichiren Daishonin, his name was. It's a Nichiren Buddhism. So Buddhism back in the day was from, you had to be either a monk and devote your life to it, or you had to be like a millionaire and then you could learn the enlightenment of life. Otherwise, the poor people were just left it as it was. So Nichiren Daishonin was the son of a fisherman who was really poor, and he said, he had his baby and said, well, I can give him to the monkhood. I'd rather him go there and have the enlightenment and live the life that I've got to his son. And basically what he done is he learnt the enlightenment of life and everything that they taught him. He said, but we can have this enlightenment, but these people down there don't need to practice everything all the time. They don't need to know all this stuff. If I give them just these parts of this, they can have the enlightenment down there as well. And he went down and started teaching people. Anyway, the story is they went to kill him, and he got out, and
because he was teaching.
Because he was teaching the people, and it spread. And they sent him to a little island, and left him there for like 12, 15 years. He had to let out rice and just lived on his island on his own, and he ended up coming back. But the Buddhism is full of, I like it because it's on working class. That really resonated with me. And you can do it and still live a normal life. And Tina Turner does it. That's why, if you notice when she started chanting, I said earlier in the film, that's when her life turned around. And it's Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and then there's a big Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And then when you're chanting in a room with people, there's only in London. There's one in Brixton I used to go to on a Sunday or whenever, and there's one in King's Cross. But you don't practice it. It's not like churches. It's people, and anyone can be a Buddhist. So they said they don't care. And I think they believe everyone can change. So you can have a Rastafari, you can be Catholic, Jew, they don't give a fuck. You welcome in to sit and chant, and that's what I loved about it. It wasn't like any other religion where they got judgment and morals. It was like, listen, it's welcome to him. And they said, if you chant, if you do what we do, you're going to have the enlightenment of life. And if there's a God, you can only go to God or Allah anyway. So it makes no difference. You can't do any wrong if you come. And I just loved that ethos of it all. And so I got into that, and to sit in a room with all these people chanting, it's amazing. It's like the whole feeling, and you get like, and I'm Church of England, so when I was a go, you get the normal sort of family with the old man would have a cardigan on, the old woman would be like in a, like a long dress. It's that sort of, like stereotypical, isn't it? Like, might as well whatever shops in answer sort of thing, it was that sort of thing. But when you go there, you got...
There's no judgment.
And no, it's like the races and everything. If you've got Indian, African, Jamaican, just every nationality's there, and everyone's just getting on and talking. You talk to their stories, and what I loved about it more than going to my church is that people talk and have a story of what Buddhism done for them. Like some people's kid may have died, and now they're still living in enlightenment. And I met this geezer from Brixton, and he had a wife, a little baby there. And he went, Robbie, I was in prison, I come out, I said, my brother lent £100 quid. He went, I lent you £100 if you come to this Buddhism. He said, oh, fuck that. He went, I've got to go there. Like in Buddhism. He said, you're not having it there. He said, oh, fuck it. So I went, I come. He said, I thought, I tried to get £100 quid to go and get some drugs. He said, so I went, all right. So I went there and I done the chanting. He said, I've enjoyed it. So I went back again. He said, I've changed my life around. He said, I've now bought my own house. I've got my own business with 6 carpenters working for me, because you don't be a carpenter in prison. He said, I've got 6 people working for me in my own yard. He said, I have my own house. He said, now I know to you that might not sound like a big thing. He said, but where I come from, I never had no vision of owning my own house. I didn't think I was just a scumbag from the streets. All my friends were in prison. He said, I have my own house. I've got my beautiful wife and a baby, all down to her chanting, because what it does is, they have a Japanese scroll and they focus on one little dot. So they don't like most meditations, you meditate with your eyes closed. This is all done from hyper focusing on like, so look at a little dot like camera, you just stand there going, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, Nam-myoho Renge, and you do it for such a long time. But because you're chanting, the difference between the Lord's Prayer is you've got to sit and pray, God, I really want this, I really want that. When I was in Landdown, they give you lend you 100 grand, are they, because you've asked for it. But I mean, it's self-talk, and you can only think how you feel. You're only on the same vibration, looking at quantum physics. If you're feeling sad, asking for help, you ain't getting fuck all, you're not in that frequency. But through chanting, you have to visualise. Because how do you pray for something if you're talking? Nam-myoho, and the vibration of the chant is putting the signal out there, like what you're saying about the yoga. So you end up visualising what you want. And the difference in people using that unconscious process, because through visualizations, as you well know, you access the emotion. Yeah. And then when you get that emotional quotient, when you open your eyes, you're thinking and feeling in that language, and it's just
keeping all of that.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is definitely.
So that just related to me there, like how all this stuff interacts, because it comes from a place called Buddha Gaya, or something like that. It's called, up in the north of India. You can only get there by train still. I really want to go one day. And then that's where Shakyamuni Buddha, the first original Buddha, invented. Then it spread down Asia. It spread through Asia. It stayed more true to its kind across the top to Japan, and it actually stayed more true to the original. But as it come down into Tibet, they mixed it with Tibetanism, if you want to call it. I don't know. They mixed it with their own sort of religion a little bit. It's still amazing. It's still a lot. Everything's there. They mixed it up a little bit, but. The idea of it was he didn't care. People get these tools and sit there for 10 days and then fuck off, and he was just trying to give as much information to people to take and spread, and I just love it. I just think it's a philosophy of life, it's not a religion, and that's what I think.
No, that's it. Beautiful. I think most religion has been, religion like you're Catholic, you know, a lot of it's been created to divide, isn't it? But definitely. When you're walking into a place like you're saying, and it's what works for you, isn't it? And then, and it's that, not like you go into church and it's like, you repent, and it's like, actually I was talking.
Or they don't tell you what you should pray about. They say cause and effect, but they use it in a way that if you want to pray to have 15 women a week, you can chant for it, and you might get it. But then the effect of that's down to you. As long as you understand the effect, you can chant to go out and party for 6 days and take drugs. We don't care, but as long as you understand, there will be the effect. Yeah. And the effect of that can be bad, and that's what they just try. It's like sort of common sense in a way. Yeah. So when people do bad things, if they want to do bad things, they're not saying it's bad things, but they're saying there's the effect to everything. So I like the way they do it. There's a 10 wells. 10 wells is proper psychology. It's like, and I even got that name that long ago, the 10 wells. So if you focus on, tell me an emotion. Think of an emotion. Joy, right? So in joy, there's other emotions. What other emotions are in there? Would you say? If you're joyful, what other emotions are connected to that? There'll be other emotions in the 10 worlds that will be connected, like happiness. Yeah. Vibrant. I don't know, something like that. But what the idea is, that's all good. But when you're in a bad emotion, like you're feeling sad, what are you sad about? What other emotions are connected to that? So what they do is they go inside themselves and they think, I'm feeling sad because my girlfriend's left me, right? So why is that? Because I love her. Okay, then let's channel into the love. How does love feel? So then they'll look at the good emotion connected to that, the other positive, and they'll start putting their focus and practice putting out the love feelings, so then it changes their state of mind. Yeah. And it's called the 10 worlds.
Right, I loved it, 10 worlds. Yeah. And focus on the solution, not the problem, isn't it?
That's basically the way it is, but going in at a deeper level just by not just looking for the emotions attached, because every emotion's got an emotion, other emotions attached to it. Yeah. Why are you sad? Because you love your ex-girlfriend or your ex-boyfriend. And there could be other things, it could be other reasons, but when you start looking at emotions, there's always other emotions in that emotion, if that makes sense. Yeah. And then you just put your focus on that. So I thought that was quite
so much to the world, isn't there, and to learn and to.
And the problem is we just look at the Western world. Yeah. The Eastern world have got an amazing way of looking at things, haven't they?
They've got a better way, in my opinion.
Well, in a psychology magazine, they said 40% of, I think it's like schizophrenia. We've got like 2% success rate, 2%. With the drugs that we use and put them into a mental institute, 2%. In the Eastern world, where they just talk, they can't afford medicine. They've got 40%.
Wow.
Just by talking.
Well, that's fancy.
It says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like, yeah, we'll get me onto that pharmaceutical industry and
Come on, let's go.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's all about money, isn't it? Like, that's the drugs and everything that are being prescribed to make people reliant on them and not focusing on actually what's going on and how to.
They treat the effect. They don't treat the cause of the problem.
Yes.
They sort of treat the effect.
Treat the symptoms.
The
Yeah.
symptoms,
Yeah. Then they just get masked, and then it just gets worse, doesn't it? Because then it causes another something else, and then it's just like a vicious circle, isn't it? But I think there's so much now available, and like obviously the pharmaceutical industry that was took over by Rockefeller in like the early 1900s, and that's why we're in the mess we are, because everyone's been so conditioned, even like the doctors and the nurses to actually think that that's the only cure.
Yeah.
And when he branded everything holistic and natural was a
They
quack.
turn it away.
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
We was talking earlier about magic mushrooms. The studies that they're proving now around the world. I mean, they're studying it, microdosing of LSD as well, and magic mushrooms. I'd rather go for because at least it's from the earth.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're going to also take the LSD side of it. But they're saying with microdosing, the difference they're getting with the effect, they're getting people off of heroin, alcohol.
I've seen this, an article actually.
Yeah, one tablet of microdose of magic mushroom, which don't make you feel much difference, a little bit happier. One microdose is getting people's anxiety and depression removed for a month, where people are taking it every day, and there's no scar. With these tablets that they give you, you get scar tissue in the brain. It can stop your brain producing. I know people that have been in mental institutes and they stop actually reducing natural chemicals from the brain now because it holds it back too much. Wow. So they can never come off of them.
That's all the point, so they can keep making money.
Exactly. Scar tissue, what are the side effects? Anxiety and depression. How the fuck's that?
Yeah.
We give you a tablet for anxiety and depression, but if you're going to get off it, you're going to get anxiety and depression. And these have got no side effects. There's no scar tissue, there's no depression, anxiety, there's no worry. You just feel a little bit elevated, and then it just comes in and out your system. And it's I think it was, I might pronounce this wrong, guys, psilocybin or psilocybin.
Okay.
You've got LSD, and it's psilocybin, something like that, which is in the mushroom. So yeah, I've been looking into that lately. I worked with a guy on a podcast called Scotty Stacks. He's from a band called The Manor. They're sick, they're really good. And he started doing microdosing.
Yeah.
So I started looking into it, studying it. So anyone at home, get on YouTube and look at microdosing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. But know what I love about it? The research with brain scans and stuff behind the neuroplasticity. So like when you walk into a room now as adults, what do we first when we look for? Our brain goes, oh, we look where to sit more comfortable, look where to sit. But when you was a kid, you walked into someone's house, you'd go, wow, look at that picture. And like someone's table legs might have like claws on, and like you'd be aware, your awareness was open to things.
Yeah.
But as we get older, it narrows down.
Perception.
Yeah. We get like triggered and this is how it is.
Conditioned, isn't it?
Conditioned.
Yeah.
But what it does is the microdosing, it opens it up again.
Yeah.
It unwires all this neuroplasticity, and you start to be aware again.
Yeah.
And that's why
almost
I think
like the Limitless. Have you seen that film?
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I would love to take that job, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Except for the side effects.
No,
but
I
apart from
know,
that, it's good. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And there's the other good one, was a bit let down with a girl. Seen that one?
Lucy.
Yeah, that would let me down. That film a bit. I thought it was going to be better when I watched it, but that was pretty cool as well.
How she just like opening more parts of her brain, and she just gets more and more. But then she loses her emotion, doesn't she?
That's the problem.
Yeah, and she just becomes a computer. Yeah, it's insane.
So what's next for you? You said you're off this weekend. You're on to some marches. Is that right?
Next weekend.
Yeah.
For Freedom Fighter.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've been doing my own research, and that's all I want to like put out there and get people to do their own research. And at the end of the day, Robert, like the statistics are there. Like the statistics are not lying, and I totally get that there's been people affected and people have lost people with regards to the virus.
So what are you saying? There's no flu no more? There's no flu no more?
There's no flu, there's no pneumonia.
Is the flu gone?
They've never isolated the virus. They've never isolated it. I just read an article on it, and they've like so many people, like 60,000 doctors, signed a Barrington Declaration against everything that's going on, and it's been ignored around the world. I mean, there's all like saying conspiracy theorists, and for the likes of me, what do I know? I'm not a scientist, I'm a whack and all the rest of it, but I'm looking at the research from the scientists that are not getting paid to drive and market this whole campaign, because that's basically what it is.
But it's scary now. They're saying mix one and the other now. They're saying, you get better results if you mix the Pfizer with the Oxford or something. I mean,
it just horrifies me. It horrifies me what is going on in the world.
This is what made me laugh. They've done 10 years worth of research in 6 months, I thought, or a year. How the fuck can you possibly do? It's impossible.
No.
How can you do 10 years worth of research in a month? Because your researching can't be too good. It must be really lazy if that's how you can combine it.
When you look at you look at newspaper articles like every year, there's always an overrun in hospitals, they're always struggling because the flu season, and I mean, there's debate whether or not the flu injection is causing the flu season anyways, because it's always when they give the flu jabs when the flu season comes. And I was watching a doctor speak called Dr. Ryan Cole about his saying there's no such thing as flu season, it's vitamin D deficiency season, because from the October to February, we don't naturally absorb the light because it just isn't strong enough, and everybody should be taking a supplement. And not the recommended, I think, is 400 daily, and now somebody was saying that it should be to 3,000 to 4,000.
What, milligrams?
Yeah, that's quite a lot, isn't it? From between them months, because that's how deficient we are. He also talks about other supplements that, I mean, when have you heard on the TV, on the news, on these daily dose of fear that has been coming out of the mainstream media? Have you ever heard anyone say, get outside, take some supplements, eat healthy? They've opened all the McDonald's, kept all the off licenses open, told everyone to stay at home, shut all the gyms.
That's so true.
I mean, that's the total opposite of what we need. Yeah, and people aren't just putting two and two together, and it's frightening that people have become so brainwashed into thinking that they have the best interests at heart. And we're talking about abusive relationship, and I've just posted something. Laurie Ladd, I don't know if you, she's really spiritual, but really kind of puts things in perspective. She's a bit out there if you're not, like, she's saying connecting with the Galactica and all that lot. But basically she talks about is our government, are we in an abusive relationship? Is humanity in an abusive relationship, basically? And she goes through all the different things of how, and Ellie Gray actually did it as well. She's a great woman, freedom fighting as well, and talked about how when you're in an abusive relationship, it happens over a gradual amount of time. First of all, they make you think that they're doing everything in your best interest, and then if you don't do what they ask you to do, they'll punish you for it. And if you look at everything that's been going on, things have been happening so gradually. First, it's like we've been led to believe that they've got our best interest in heart because there's this big bogey virus out there, and then they'll take something away because it's for your best interest. And then when you're like in an abusive relationship, then you can't see your friends, and we don't like it.
Same psychology.
Then you can't see your family, and they kind of brainwash you, but it happens over a gradual time, and that's exactly what's happened with the government.
Repeat,
so now everyone just assumes that what's coming from the mainstream media is to protect us, and it's just not. It couldn't be further from the truth. If they want to divide us, and the more they put these things in place, the mask wearing, covering people's faces, covering people's smiles, we connect with each other through our expression. It's the children that are going to be affected more by this because they're not able to see faces. And when you're out and you see a kid and a baby and you talk to it, and nobody's doing that anymore.
Baby's not getting that expression, is
My mum was in Marks and Spencer's. She didn't wear a mask, and there was this baby, and she went, hello. And the woman just looked at her because she'd seen that she didn't have a mask on, and turned the trolley around. She was all masked up. And that's what's going on in people's lives now, and they just can't see beyond what is happening to the world.
So many people just listen to command, don't they, and believe everything they're told. And I always think you've got to find proof. I found proof, like people, with my psychology, how I work, everything I do is backed up by science and proof. Because I won't take a chance on someone. Do you know what I mean? I have to go and study and research. I never fucking took magic mushrooms. I'd never do that until now. I've seen the brain scans with my own eyes and see what he's doing. I think, right, the microdose is sweet. That'd be right. So
It's considered a recreational drug, isn't it?
And it is, but do you know the mad thing is, if you look at it, it goes 5,000 years before Christ. They can search back people using mushrooms.
No, I know.
But it's for spiritual. It ain't a recreation.
I'm saying how people's perception of it, even though they'll go and not think twice now about having a poison in their arm.
Yeah, but one of a natural mushroom from the ground.
They don't even know what it's in it.
No.
They don't even know what it's doing to the body.
Exactly.
But they're just assuming because it's somebody in a white coat that's administering it that they're seeing people like doctors, like gods, and there's so much corruption going on. It really is a scary world right now, and
so true.
it is, and it's not only there. Like what I've been hearing a lot of is the spiritual attack, the attack on our spirituality, on our soul, on our connection to the divine. And talking to about energies, and there is a bigger energy than all of us out there, isn't there?
Definitely.
And there's a lot of Reiki healers that have been trying to work on people. I've had I won't say it because I don't want it to get taken down, because it's that the censorship is real. Happened to me on another podcast that I did, because they put that in the title. But it's when people are trying to work, Reiki healers or energy healers trying to work on people that have had it. The heart chakra is completely closed and the third eye chakra is completely closed. There's no energy coming from it, and it's almost like they're describing it as the soul is disconnected from the body. It's attached by the cord still, but it's like almost dazed and confused and not within the body as it should be, and that's scary. That for me is the scariest part, because once they say, it's not changing your DNA, it's gene therapy, and it is changing your DNA. It's going into your genes and it's altering them forever, and I don't know if there's any comeback from that.
No, of course there ain't. No, you can't.
God knows what's going to happen to these people that are willingly walking into this the biggest human experiment ever of all
less
time.
Research of ever as well.
We're still in clinical trial. It doesn't get approved till 2023. These fees don't get approved till 2023, and you're looking shocked because the majority of people don't even know that we are in a clinical trial. And the only reason why they're not coming out of lockdown is because if they come out of state of emergency in the country, they can't administer an emergency injection. Yeah, because it's not been approved. That's the reason, and it's frightening that even doctors don't even know this. Even nurses that are administering it. I mean, I'm sure I feel actually sorry for so many people that have been working in the industry and have been almost like gagged and been told they can't say anything or they'll lose their job and their livelihoods and stuff. But now I think there's a turning point, and they have to kind of step forward now and sort of say enough's enough, and collectively, because they can't sack everybody, can they? They can't have everybody if everybody sticks together, and that's what it's about, unity and standing up and actually saying no more, because it's about consent and studying the common law as well. And now, I don't know if you've been looked too much into that, about we basically following maritime law, which is the law of the sea, and we are sovereign human flesh and blood, law of the land, and we stand under common law. And when these restrictions are coming into play, if you look at the legalese that they use, it's not lawful what they're doing. If there's no harm, if there's no victim, if there's no harm to come to another person, there's no right for somebody to press charges or to arrest you. And that's why when you're getting people standing up and saying, I'm not giving you a name and address, I've not done anything wrong, and they're getting arrested, they'll get held. They'll get held for a certain amount of time, but if you stand your ground, they have to let you go, because it's under common law. And they call it the straw man. I don't know if you've heard of the straw man, your birth certificate. I'll send you it. It's called, when we're born, we are given a birth certificate, and we assume it's just to register the birth. But it's actually putting us into the system. It's almost like your parents are signing you over to the government, so the government now owns you. But actually they don't own you, they own your name. But if you think about all the stuff that then we go through life, we hire purchase a car on finance, the mortgage of a house, everything is on paper, and it's all done. It's basically just all done. Money is just doesn't exist anyways. It's a piece of paper, and people are so focused because they've been conditioned to think that money is the be all and end all, and that's what makes us happy. But it's actually, it doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is energy. And this straw man and people have really understood it and worked the system. When you get a letter or something, it's in capital letters, your name, that's because it only stands if you've got your whole name in capital letters, because it's your straw man. So so everything that gets charged, you know, when you go to court, everything's to do with the sea. You're in a dock. If you think of, I'm looking into like the terminology and everything, and like money is currency. And if you think breaking down the word currency, it's the current of the sea. So it's all about, and if you think of the birthing canal, what do women do? They birth down the birthing canal. If you think of a ship going into, they birth it. And it's all to do with the law and the legalese that they use, and to do with this birth certificate that they give you, and everything that is charged to you, like with regards to fines and stuff, it's all to do with your straw man. So you can detach yourself from that and pull away from it, sort of like the Matrix. And it's only that straw man that they're making you believe that you are that straw man, but actually they don't own you. So even like down to like child services and stuff, they have the right to come and take your child off you if they feel that you're not looking after it properly, or I mean, I get that there's obviously protection in place and stuff like that, but there's so much corruption involved in it as well, and it's really interesting.
I'll get on that later.
Yeah, so all this stuff like that's going on, and people being arrested for protesting, it's never been lawful to arrest somebody for being out walking or being together. It's just not the law, and that's why all these I was going to get a fine because I did a thing of one of the Manchester protests. They're not going to stand in court. Like, nobody's been charged and it's been fined unless they've just paid it without questioning it. Everything is consensual. So until everything is shown to us, everything that's said to us, if we just go along with it without saying I do not consent, then that's a sign of consent. So when we enter into a contract with a police officer, if we've done nothing wrong, like at a protest, they say, what's your name? And we say, I don't wish to enter a contract with you, I do not consent. And then they could arrest you and they could take you, but they can only hold you a certain amount of hours because you've not entered into a contract. When they say, do you understand? You say yes, it means that you're agreeing to standing under them. So it's all,
don't say yes.
You don't say yes. She says, I don't understand stand under you. It's called legalese, and it's mental. It'll blow your mind, honestly. But we've just been led to believe that because it's all about the government law, and it's to do with like the Queen and the constitutional law, and it's that's why when I don't know if you've seen a lot of people saying, are you under your oath to the police officers when they're trying to throw the weight around, and I know not all police are bad, but again I feel bad for some of these policemen that are actually being forced into these situations. When they're not comfortable with it and they can see what they're doing isn't right, and it is like Nazi Germany, like what's going on. It is, I know you're laughing, but it's crazy.
I know what you're saying, and it is underneath the scene, just felt hard, isn't it?
I've just seen some police knock a door down in Liverpool and go into it, like literally break a door down, smash it up, go in and arrest a guy for not quarantining in a hotel after wherever he's been, and he's come and he's gone straight home, and they've literally arrested him for not quarantining. Now it can never stand in court, because if you're smart and you understand what's going on, and you look, I'm just saying, the virus hasn't been isolated, there's no proof that it actually exists. I know there's a nasty virus going around and it's affected people, but the statistics haven't changed for the last 30 years. They've been the same. In fact, 2020 was actually lower on average
than before.
Yeah, so if we're in a pandemic, there should be millions of people dropping dead in the street like they showed us in China, which obviously was a big...
happened like that at all, did it?
It was all a stage. The world is literally a stage. It's
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why.
I might get over the weekend then, so it's next weekend.
Yeah.
Hyde Park.
Yeah.
I might come over and get my banners up, see what's going on.
Yeah.
It'd be good to actually go to. I've never been to one before, so it'd be nice.
We need more people this next week as well. It's like, there was about 100,000 there a few weeks ago, and we went,
wow.
Yeah, because that's how we all conspiracy theorists, and we all talking rubbish. You know what I mean? All them doctors that have got PhDs and degrees, immunologists, virologists, scientists, doctors, people speaking out. This isn't like 10 people disagreeing. This is thousands, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people knowing, and it's going on worldwide. It's not just like, there's a protest in Manchester. The last one, it was going on in like 30 different countries on the same day. So imagine the shift. I talk about like the meditation and the Maharishi effect, if you looked into that, and how they change. It creates a shift in the Earth's energy, and bringing people together is just doing that, raising people's vibration, creating a shift that cannot be argued
and
with.
You can always
energy.
feel it, can't you? Even if you're in a football stadium, you can feel the energy. If you go to, anywhere, there's a lot of people, it definitely connects. I said, when I go chanting, it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, sister. I've really enjoyed this. It's been so.
No,
you haven't. I've really enjoyed it. It's proper eye-opening. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's proper eye-opening stuff. I'm gonna be getting all over that later.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll send you the little documentary, the Strawman documentary. And
would you?
Yeah.
And I'll send you the microdosing documentary.
Yes, definitely. So I will just say before we go.
Please,
so
please.
I don't know when you're going to put this out, because
next couple of weeks.
all right. So yeah. So
we'll try to get it out before the next week.
Well, I'm just saying because Miss Manchester. I mean,
when is it?
So Miss Manchester have been raising money. They've chose one woman at a time for the chosen charity.
That's
which
May.
is
It's in May, isn't it?
It's May the 16th.
I'll be out before then. Yeah, next 2 weeks or so.
So so the girls have been amazing, and it's like always like a pageant, and it's like saying about empowerment, but it's been really amazing to see these girls grow and the confidence, and that's what it's about. And it's not like the old-fashioned sort of pageant, like it's just going on what you look like and that externally. It's more than that. And Cheryl, the girl that's been doing it, has done a fantastic job. And they brought out a single, and they've done like all different fundraising. But it's on May the 16th. It's a drive-in arena, but it's in a marquee because she just kept getting cancelled because she's like,
where is it? It's Manchester.
It's in Manchester, Trafford, and it's going to be in a marquee. But there's like you pull up in your car and you can go and sit at the side of it. But obviously the stage is in the middle. I mean, it's mind blowing that it's got to even do this.
All the food, drinks.
Yeah.
And how many is it old?
Oh, I don't know. There's like, I think it's 6 to a car, but yeah, I think there's still tickets left and stuff.
I'll have to get some.
Yeah.
Get some of the pals up. That'd be brilliant. That will.
It'd be good, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be real good. That would.
Yeah.
So everyone, get on it. If you're there, I'll get my tickets first. You better hurry up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna get on that. The 16th of May.
Yeah.
Right, I'll make some calls later and get on that.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. It's been a real deep, mind-blowing one. I
I
really loved it.
it
was good though. I love that stuff. My mind's going to go like that. I've got so much more to research. So thank you everyone for tuning into the Mindclap podcast, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you, Leanne, very much.
Thank you.